Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. Funding for Chautauqua Sunrise is provided in part by the Chautauqua County Industrial Development Agency, with offices in Jamestown and Dunkirk, helping businesses to prosper throughout Chautauqua County. From supporting people with disabilities to enjoy great lives to providing health care services that are available to anyone, the Resource Center has been improving our county for more than 60 years. Learn more about how the Resource Center makes a positive difference in people's lives. From the Access Chautauqua Studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Chautauqua. We are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week from 9 to 10 a.m. Send events via email or call us live. Check us out on YouTube and Facebook. And now, from the Access Chautauqua Studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Doc Hamels, and I hope you're having a great morning. Another beautiful Chautauqua sunrise. It was gorgeous coming over here today. Justin's shaking his head. How are things over in the big city? Pretty bright, yeah. It's been an outstanding summer, dry but outstanding. You know, we had a really wet spring. I was complaining every Saturday we come here and it was soaking rain, but it really has turned out quite nice. And that means we still have a lot of summer left here in Chautauqua County. And if you're visiting or if you're new to the area, this time of year is absolutely gorgeous. Days are getting a little shorter, but the mornings are nice and cool now, and the evenings are pleasant, and the days are just great. I mean, these mid-70s, I could take this year round. And there's just so much to do here, and we're going to share a few things that are coming up in a bit here. But if you're into nature, there's hiking, and there's kayaking, there's the wine trail. If you enjoy sampling the wines that we have here in the county, there's art galleries, there's museums, there's just all kinds of things you can do around here. So if you like music, probably Thursday through Sunday in about 50 different places, and live music. So it's all good. So anyways, welcome to Chautauqua County if you're new, and good morning to everybody around the world that might be streaming in here through Facebook, and good afternoon to all my listeners on WRFA 107.9, low power to the people in Jamestown. Thanks for tuning in. We have a very interesting show today. I've got 3 guests, and I even have an audience, audience of 1, but anyways, so we have a lot to cover today. So I think you're going to find a lot of this really, really interesting, and hopefully you'll take away some information that might be important to you and your family. All right, as you know, this is a live show, and if you have a question for my guests, a comment, if you have an announcement of your own, a chicken barbecue, a fundraiser for your organization, or you just want to say hi or happy birthday to somebody, 716-753-5225. And Mr. Friendly Randy is on the other line, and he will take your calls. He'll pump you through the speaker on the wall, and we'll talk to you live. How cool is that? And remember, you're going to be around the world. I mean, I'm sure Natasha's watching in the Ukraine, right? We're going to talk about her every week, I decided, and all her friends over there. And we got people down in Florida and over into the western part of the country and then across Europe. I mean, there's people that watch this show. It's pretty amazing. Just this little show in Chautauqua County. Anyways, it's way cool. So don't hesitate to give us a call. Now, also, if you have something you want to share with us throughout the week, and remember, we're only live Saturday mornings from 9 to 10, but you can email us at chautauquasunrise@gmail.com, and that's what a lot of people do here. They send us the announcements, and then we get them on the air for you. And it's free of charge, no problem. All right, so let me get right into, one more thing, I forgot. If you didn't celebrate it yesterday, be good to your dog, because yesterday was National Dog Day, and Brody got an extra treat at my house. You saw him just before we went live here. Somehow, I don't know, who stole his picture? Is there no privacy in this world? Poor Brody. They yanked his picture off of Facebook, I think. Anyways.
That's not anyone's fault but yours.
That's my fault because I disclosed it publicly. All right. Anyways. I hear laughing in the other room. Anyways, all kinds of cool pictures of dogs and just big happy dogs. You know, dogs are just different than cats. Cats are okay, but dogs are so cool. And my dog looks like me, so we're kind of like twinsies. Okay, I digress. Let's go right to Jamestown and let's talk about the king of rock and roll. Got that one, Jeff? Here we go. Elvis to show at the Ridgeland Center for the Arts. There he is. A thoroughly cinematic, try to trip me up on that one, drama, The Story of Elvis, is going to be shown on Wednesday, August 31 at 7 p.m. It's seen through the prism of this complicated relationship with his, enigmatic manager, Colonel Tom Parker, played by Tom Hanks, as told by Parker. The film delves into the complex dynamic between the two, spanning over 20 years from Presley's rise to fame to his unprecedented stardom, against the backdrop of the evolving cultural landscape and loss of innocence in America. Central to that journey is one of the significant and influential people in Elvis's life, Priscilla Presley. Elvis is rated PG-13, and it's 130 minutes long. And if anybody wants to know, that's a Gibson guitar in his hand. Upcoming movies at the Ridge include the music documentary Hallelujah, Leonard Cohen's Journey, a song. And I do that song, Hallelujah. That's a really cool song. I don't know what it means. I don't understand what the words are for, but it's just a great tune, and everybody plays it. This is going to be shown on Wednesday, September 7th at 7 p.m., and then you have the British comedy, Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. Say that 10 times fast. Wednesday, September 14th at 7 p.m. The nature documentary of Fire of Love will be shown Wednesday, September 21 at 7 p.m. And the Southern Murder Mystery, where the crawdads sing. That looked really spooky. September 24th at 8 p.m. Movies at the Reg are sponsored by the Silver Tree Seniors of Jamestown and Family Health Medical Services. Tickets at the Reg are $7 for movies and $6 for family films, with an additional $1 theater restoration fee. Got to keep the place up. They may be purchased from 12 to 5 p.m. on Mondays and Fridays, and 12 to 8 Wednesday at the box office, or you can give them a call at 716-484-7070. I was going to say something witty. I can't think of what it was now. I lost it. All right. Coming up, we're going to talk about this a little bit further, but we have a slide for this. This is going to be a Monte Carlo night coming up on September 24th. There it is. Ooh, that looks good, Jeff. You did a good job. It's going to be hosted at the Sheridan VFW. That's 2556 Main Road in Silver Creek. I'm assuming that's Route 20? Route 20. The time is from 4 to 10 p.m. Doors will open at 4 for music, hors d'oeuvres, and basket raffle opportunities. Gaming will go from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. And this is going to be to benefit the Sunshine Charitable organization. And we have a guest that's going to be here in a little bit that we're going to talk more about this Monte Carlo night. You could say Monte Carlo like a vampire. Monte Carlo. Okay, Music on the Pier Summer Concert Series, Week 12. Off the Hook, a Dunkirk Boardwalk seafood restaurant, will host a lobster fest event on Saturday, August 29th, starting. There is no Saturday, August 29th, so I'm assuming it's today, this 27th, starting at 12, I don't write these things, 12 noon in Memorial Park. Music performances will be provided by Crossbones at 2, For the People at 5:15, and Autumnwood, oh, that's a cool name, 8 p.m. Meal tickets are $50 and can be purchased by visiting Off the Hook. The Back to School Bash is scheduled for Monday. Yeah, that's August 29th, from 4 to 7 p.m. with a rain date of August 31 at Point Gratiot. The event is presented by the City of Dunkirk, Dunkirk Public Schools, and United Way of Northern Chautauqua County, and sponsored by the National Grid, DFT Communications, Southern Chautauqua Federal Credit Union, Walmart of Dunkirk and Fredonia. Now, I'm sitting here reading this, and I'm realizing we're almost to the end of August. What the heck? It's been a busy month, hasn't it? Okay. Rotary.
There isn't much summer left.
There's still a whole frankly month left, Justin. Oh, you sound like these old cronies. Rotary Club and Refresco, Marty's Bubblegum Machine will be present to provide tunes and children's entertainment at this event. Pancho Billa book bags loaded with school supplies will be given to the first 300 children registered that afternoon. No-cost scavenger hunt drawing for children's bike donated by Walmart will also take place. Marty's Bubblegum Machine will provide entertainment in addition to a bounce house and a balloon twisting clown. Complimentary hot dogs, refreshments, and snacks will be served. If you want more information about this year's festivities, call Ryan Hall at, here we go, ready? 366-9886. 366-9886. So that's all together. You're going to have music and you have all these other cool things going on. And I see my fellow Rotarians are going to be busy there as well. All right. Hazardous waste. The Chautauqua County Department of Public Facilities is going to have a hazardous waste collection event on September 17th. All right, so what's it all about? From 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Chautauqua County DPF building on Work Street in Faulkner. The event allows residents to dispose of hazardous chemicals, Justin, free of charge. Among some of the items accepted are used antifreeze, fluorescent tube lights, flammable adhesives. It's hard to say that on Saturday mornings. Flammable solvents, paint thinner, mineral spirits, deck cleaners, non-empty aerosol cans, flammable floor polish, herbicides, pesticides, chemistry sets, pool chemicals, and anything your dad has in the closet that shouldn't be there, Justin.
Car battery?
Doesn't say anything about that. That's a different place. Please note that businesses cannot participate in this event, and it's only offered to households. In addition, the following materials will not be accepted: batteries, fire extinguishers, motor oil, other waste oils, caulk, drywall compound, Jeff, electronics, prescription drugs, sharps, smoke detectors, latex, and oil-based paint. Those sharps, they usually have a 1 or 2 times a year where they collect those. I know that. Beginning May 22, Sherwin-Williams will accept stains, shellacs, urethanes, latex, and oil-based paint for recycling during regular business hours. Didn't know that. These items will be accepted up to 5 gallons per person. For more information about Sherwin-Williams Paint Recycling Program, go to Sherwin-Williams.com Paint Care. Residents participating in the Household Hazardous Waste Drop-Off Day must complete a registration form listing the materials they are dropping off, and registration forms are available also online, and it is so long I'm not going to read it. Just go there and they'll give you a form. All right, this collection is sponsored by the Chautauqua County, New York Department of Environmental Conservation, Storage Container Services, and Chautauqua County Hazmat. For more information, if you have a question about what you can or cannot bring, give them a call at 661-8424. 661-8424. And now for some events this weekend. I skipped the first one. What did I skip? Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, don't do that one. That one's already come and gone. August today, 27th, Butterflies and Brews in Monarch Butterfly Festival at the Audubon Community Nature Center over on Riverside Road in Jamestown. Celebrate the Monarch Butterfly with these two special events. Butterflies and Brews, which is Friday, hold on, it was last night, allows participants. This continues on Saturday with the Monarch Butterfly Festival, which is from 10 to 4 p.m. See, what happens, folks, is that I get these announcements and it's for 2 days, and today's Saturday and Friday's already gone, so I gotta kind of pick this apart. Participants can walk in a room filled with live butterflies, tour the Audubon's butterfly garden, attend many educational programs on butterflies, and a whole lot more. The day concludes 4 p.m. today with all the butterflies being released. Well, I bet that'd be cool. Admission for Butterflies and Brews is only $30. Admission for the Monarch Butterfly Festival itself is $8 for adults, $6 for Nature Center members. Children ages 15 to 3 or $6, free for children ages 2 and under. If you want more information today, if you're thinking about going out there, give them a call at 569-2345. 569-2345. And finally, going on right now is the Celtic Festival and Gathering of the Clans at Lakeside Park over just down the road in Mayville. 30 clans will be coming together with this annual festival. The event kicks off last night, and there'll be Irish and Scottish dancers, beer and wine garden, and Celtic and craft vendors. It continues on today from 9 a.m. to 9:30 with pipe bands, Scottish heavy athletes competition. They throw around like telephone poles and these huge rocks, Celtic music, and vendors. I actually have 2 CDs of bagpipe music, and my wife absolutely hates it. I only play it when she's out of the house. I don't know. Admission is only $5 donation, and admission, hold on, that was last night. For today, it's $15 donation for the general public, $10 for geezers, free for kids under 13 and under. And if you want to give them a call before you go today, it's 814-323-7360. 814-323-7360. Okay, finally got through all those. All right, I'm really honored today to have a special guest here today that's going to talk with us about a new project that's not that old, but it really does some heartwarming and some very delicate work with families. And I want to welcome Alex Conti to the show. And Alex, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So what's the name of your organization?
We're the Sunshine Charitable Fund, and our mission is very simple. We help defray the cost of funeral expenses for people who lose a child. And we deal with ages 1 to 19. And we cover, well, the areas we cover in Orleans County, Niagara County, Erie County, Chautauqua, Cattaraugus, Allegheny, and then Warren, McKean, and Potter down in
Good
Pennsylvania.
Lord, that's a huge area.
And so if anybody ever has someone that loses a child, they simply need to call us. We deliver the check right to the funeral home.
What's the phone number they would call you at?
716-640-7896.
All right, so one more time, 716. Go ahead.
640-7896.
Right.
You threw me for a second because I couldn't remember my own number. So,
I do that every Saturday morning. So you all sit here laughing. That's how it goes. So you've been around, what, 3 years now, I think I read?
2.5.
2.5,
Yeah.
in your 3rd year.
Yeah.
Alex, this is a noble cause. Why did this even come about? I mean, what was the origin of this?
My wife and I had been thinking about this for quite some time. I lost my little brother when he was 18, but to medical expenses, and thank goodness for Carl Timko, owned Larson Timko Funeral Home. He was very patient, and we're dairy farmers, you know, and so coming up with that kind of money to bury your child, no one expects to bury their child. So, and to lose a child is one thing, then to have to pay for it on top of it is pretty cruel. So we try to help, and I've got to say that all of the funeral homes that we've dealt with have been fantastic. They're very generous to the families, but there are fees that they cannot cover.
Right.
And so our organization tries to bridge that gap and try to make it as seamless as we can for the parents.
And I know it probably is case by case, but do you have like a ballpark figure about what you're able to help families with, or is it just all over the board?
No, it's just a straight, we hand deliver a $1,000 check to the.
So it's just, okay.
Yeah, I need to thank Stephanie from the Westfield YWCA for getting us on here. She's one of our executive board members. And
Yeah, I know. I got this message that says, call me, so, and I go, oh, okay. And I tried like 14 times and the phone kept ringing busy. I go like, well, she either is stuck somewhere, she's being held hostage, or she's talking, on the phone a lot. So I said, just here's my number. And then we were able to put this together today. You have an upcoming event, so Jeff can pop it up again as we speak.
Okay.
Why don't you tell us a little bit more about it? I just did the quick one.
Yeah, so we're real excited. We're going to have a Monte Carlo night with some games of chance and basket raffles. And we're going to have music there. It's going to be held at the Sheridan VFW. Okay. It's a Silver Creek address, but it's literally right in the town of Sheridan,
right
on Route 20. And we're real excited. It's going to start at 4. It's going to go till 10. The gaming will be from 6 to 10, but we'll have hors d'oeuvres. and
that's an inside joke, folks.
Yeah. I misspelt it, okay, when I sent it in.
And that's okay. I had your back. I had your back.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I said, I don't know what that word is, but I think it's this word.
People that know me understand that. That's not a forte.
I have to tell you, I had to do the old Siri thing. It's like, how do you spell hors d'oeuvres? I had to make sure. Because I wasn't going to mess up. When you say games of chance, what does that mean?
The state regulates it.
Oh, yeah.
We are in New York, right? But we'll have blackjack. I think 3 or 4 tables of blackjack. We have a wheel that has like the dollars on it, and it's pretty. It has to be simple because we're going to be running it. So the games are pretty fun. But we are looking for baskets. So if anybody would like to donate baskets,
that's a great cause.
Yeah, they can. That would be great. Okay. And but we do have some pretty awesome prizes. We're doing standalone raffles. We have 3 mini helmets that a friend of mine who works with the Bills. We got a Josh Allen autographed mini helmet with a certificate of authenticity for all of them, a Tre'Davious White Pro Bowl helmet, and a Tremaine Edmonds mini helmet. So, and then we have Ron DeLiba has a fishing charter, Dancing with Fish is his boat, and he's offered us a 6-hour fishing charter, and we have box seats at a Sabres game for 4. And our 6th one is $1,000 store credit at Lake Effect Furniture out in Cheektowaga.
Really?
Yeah,
Super.
And that came about. He was a best friend of a father who
that is in that situation.
In the situation.
I'll say this time and time again. The people that live in this area are charitable. They are good-hearted. They are supportive of good causes, and good on you guys. So, one more time on the phone number, and we got to get going here.
Yep, 716-640-7896.
All right, Alex, we're going to have you come back next year, 2023, and we're going to do a whole show with you guys, and we're going to talk more, okay?
Well, thanks. Well, Steph, again, thanks. Appreciate
absolutely. And so good luck on your event, and we're going to take a little break, folks. That was Alex Conti.
I really appreciate it.
All right, you take care now. You stay put for a sec. Folks, we're going to continue on here in a second, but we have a public service announcement, so stay tuned. I'll be back with some other folks. There you go.
When you're out there, there's no telling what you'll find.
I see it, Oh, look at you.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Drum roll, please. That was a first. See ya. All right, our first set of guests are leaving, and now I have the pleasure of welcoming back to the show Claire Corwin, and she brought her sidekick, Courtney Sipes. Did I get that right?
Yes, so you got
all
that
right.
right.
Good morning, ladies. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, all right. That was kind of an interesting project they're doing here.
yeah.
Ooh, get you right here, doesn't it?
Sure did.
Yeah. But you're going to be talking about some other projects and the things that you're working on that kind of deals with life issues as well. And the two kind of went together, don't they? And so you're with the New York State or New York Alzheimer's Association. Did I get that right? Or is there more letters?
You're on track, yeah.
Almost there. All right, go ahead. Fix it.
We split up by parts of the state, so we're the Western New York chapter. So
Okay.
we do all the 8 counties, and then if you have someone who lives in Long Island, we have a chapter there. We want to keep it really personable to the area, make sure that I'm giving you what you need, because what we need here might not be the same as what they need in Long Island, and vice versa.
Okay.
So Western New York.
Claire, you were born around here? No.
No, I was born in Baltimore. I grew
Baltimore.
up here though,
You
so
grew up
I
here.
love Western New York. Yeah,
Okay. How long have you been here? All your life?
Oh,
Except for when
gosh.
you were born?
maybe 14 years.
Okay.
So a while.
Okay. And Courtney, where are you from?
Western New York, yeah.
We're in Western New York.
Well, so I grew up in Williamsville, but I was born in Delaware, but been here majority of my life, and yeah, I don't see myself going anywhere but Buffalo.
See, and I have to say, I was born in Buffalo and I came here. So, yep, I know Williamsville area pretty well. All right. So you went to school there and all that. So what
Sure
school did
did.
you go to? Williamsville?
Williamsville, yeah, the Williamsville Central School District. So I went Williamsville North,
Mhm.
and then I went to Brockport for college. So I went to Rochester for a little bit, but I'm back.
So exactly, how do you get into this field? Like everybody I know that's in this field went to Slippery Rock, or you know, or that in what do they call it, community health or whatever. So what was your path there?
I have my master's in social work, so I've wanted to work for the Alzheimer's Association since I was about 16. So it's been 10 years in the making.
Why?
My grandma had Alzheimer's. and
There's
she-
always
oh,
there's
yeah.
always the human connection there, isn't there?
That's how you get into the field. You can't. You can be wonderful at all these different things. You can be a social worker, you can be a teacher, you can be someone who just has a really good passion for something. But when you've gone through it, you understand your caregiver that's sitting in front of you or the person who's living with the disease.
Yeah.
And I think that makes, at least for me, my job easier and a little bit more fulfilling, which is good.
And Courtney, how'd you get involved?
Personal connection as well. Yeah, so I've always been in community health, public health, but it was the passing of a loved one of mine, like my grandmother, but a great aunt.
Yeah.
And
That's
that's
great.
really what stirred it up for me. And now I have other family members, unfortunately, who are living with dementia. So
You know, when Claire contacted me, she said, what should we talk about? And I said, I'd be interested in statistics because I think people think that Alzheimer's is in somebody else's family. It's in some other town. It's not here in Chautauqua County. I mean, because we don't necessarily talk about it around the table until it hits. And I think it's one of those, I think the correct word is insidious. It sneaks up on a person. You don't even realize that you're knee-deep into a dementia issue until it's diagnosed to a certain degree. So let's talk about where Alzheimer's fits in, because dementia is the big umbrella, right?
Yes.
I'm a friend of dementia, by the way. I have my certificate.
dementia friendly.
Yes,
We
it's
love
out in the
that.
other room. Okay, so Claire, go for it.
Oh man, so just dementia in general. So I always tell people dementia is your big term, your umbrella term. Alzheimer's is your most diagnosed type. So it's specifically hallmarked by plaques and tangles that build up in the brain. It was discovered by Dr. Alzheimer, so that's why it's called Alzheimer's
I didn't know
disease.
that.
So he found it about 100 years ago. And one of the reasons that I think we don't talk about it, or that it is so kind of difficult for us to grasp, is that it's ever evolving. So the way that he was able to diagnose Alzheimer's in a patient was through a brain examination, which you really can only do once
After.
that person has passed on. And science has come so far, even in the last 120 years, we're able to see in the brain without someone being
Right.
passed.
Sure.
So we're able to diagnose through brain images and scans, and we're able to say those plaques and tangles should not be here. These Lewy body proteins should not be here. Whatever's going on in the brain, we're able to specifically say, okay, there is an underlying cause for this. So being able to specifically pick out which one it is going to help make those conversations more natural. But there's all different types too, so it's really, really important that we go to the doctor, that we have a baseline testing, that we do all these different things, because there's also different treatment courses for each one.
Okay, so Courtney, do you have a grasp on how many different types of dementia there are?
There are hundreds of different types of dementia.
Hundreds?
Hundreds, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But as Claire said, you know, Alzheimer's, you hear that most often because it's the most common cause. But that's definitely something to note for folks listening, is that the Alzheimer's Association, we support all of those impacted by any form of memory loss. It doesn't have to just be Alzheimer's, any form of dementia, the caregivers, people living with. So definitely important to note that.
Okay. I'm aware of the number 2 dementia is Lewy body, and Robin Williams, the famous comedian, suffered from that, from what I understand. And a lot of people never even heard of that, and it's huge. Alzheimer's seems to be the one that we hear a lot about, and then Lewy body, and then what other typical ones are there?
Vascular dementia is a huge one.
So that's the arteries and veins? And
yes, exactly. So that's a lack or loss of blood flow to a certain part of the brain, which leads to dementia. And that one's tough because your brain can be healthy as ever, and if you don't have good heart health, if you suffer from a stroke, if you suffer from a heart attack, if you're not healthy in your actual body, you're putting your brain at risk.
Yeah.
So when we look at vascular dementia, there's so many things that go into it that it's really important we stress to folks to have a healthier lifestyle, because that's the only one that we know you can take active steps towards preventing every single day.
Okay. So I want to bounce between the two of you, if that's all right. So Courtney, what do you do for a living? What do you do?
So I serve as the Director of Community Engagement for the Western New York chapter. Claire and I work really hard to mobilize communities. A lot of what we do is, I think it was said, is we serve the 8 counties of Western New York, but there is so much work to be done in terms of not just providing the programs and services, but really understanding from the communities that we're serving what the needs are. So the needs here, say in, let's say, Dunkirk or Jamestown, might be very different from what it's like in Lewiston, or
available services.
Available services, what the needs are and experiences are of the community. So it's a lot of sort of community information gathering, listening to individuals, holding community forums, or an opportunity to gather folks together to really hear from those caregivers. But in general, a lot of what we do is trying to mobilize the community, and in doing so, it's getting volunteers and champions to help us really increase the awareness, not only of the disease, but of the free programs and services that we can offer.
Okay. Before we go too far into services and things that you offer, growing up, we always used to make fun of older people. It's not funny anymore, because I'm an older people now. But even still, I think, but I think that the world is becoming more and more caring. I think because they're realizing that this is not just an older person issue. I mean, I'm seeing things with people in their 40s are coming down with Alzheimer's and so forth. Gosh, we always laugh at ourselves when you go to the kitchen to get something and you end up doing something totally different. But that's something that's stress related sometimes. Sometimes it's just, you forgot, it's just simple. And sometimes people start to panic when that sort of thing happens. So what kind of, I know you're not doctors, but from your agency, your group that you work with, what are some things that people should look out for, right away, that jumps out of, that you say, it's something you probably should take a look at and talk to your doctor about?
Oh yeah, changes in mood and behavior. You have to know the person that you're working with, and you have to, sometimes people are able to recognize it in themselves, sometimes they're not. But if we're looking from the outside in, if I'm watching for someone and looking for signs in folks, big shifts in mood or behavior, if I've always been very quiet and I start to maybe, act out a little bit. Maybe I use certain verbiage I wouldn't normally use, or get frustrated a bit easier.
When you say verbiage, you mean like foul language, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling very frustrated because I'm not able to get through a sentence, my level of frustration as someone experiencing dementia is going to be just a tick higher than someone who is not experiencing living with dementia, because it takes so much effort to get through that thought. It takes more energy and concentration. So we have to be really compassionate when we're looking at folks who are diagnosed as well. And when they're dealing with this, we have to say, okay, it's probably something that we're working through medically, and it might not be Alzheimer's or dementia, but I want to rule that out. So we look at mood and behavior. For a lot of folks, finances are a big red flag. When we have someone who's living with Alzheimer's or dementia, we see a lot of impaired decision making. So, Doc, I don't need a new car. I would like one, but you can't, there's no way you're going to get me on a lot right now. But with someone with Alzheimer's or dementia, we might see a little bit more of that impulsiveness, maybe some bigger purchases.
A lot of boxes coming to the house being delivered with it starts with A.
Yes. So something like that. Driving can be a big issue for folks as well. That's a pretty obvious one. So you always want to watch the car, see if you see any dents, dings, if they're running stoplights, something like that. That's really bad. But we want to make sure that people are being safe on the road. But I would say if you're looking as a friend or as a family member, social withdrawal and those mood changes are going to be your first sign.
Okay, so you go up to the person and say, you're not yourself anymore, and I see some issues here. The person's going to say, what are you, nuts? I'm fine. There's got to be a great amount of denial in this.
Oh, yeah.
So what then?
Well, you did what I tell people not to do. You said, you're doing something.
You're right.
So when we're talking to people, if I'm worried about someone, if I'm concerned, I'm going to say, I've been noticing something different, and I want you to tell me, is there something going on? Do you feel okay? You want to use I statements, because otherwise if I say,
come at 'em.
You are acting weird.
Right.
Then you're already defensive.
Up
Yeah,
those
exactly.
defenses, right.
And we don't want to talk about this because that person might be noticing things, they might not. But you want to make sure that we're not automatically putting up that wall, that we're still open to having the conversation, because whether or not we have the conversation, this is still going to continue. Very important.
Courtney, what do you then? All right, so the person says, maybe I should get checked out. So the doctor says, I think you've got dementia. So what do they do for you? I mean, are there magic pills out there?
I'm going to let Claire take that one.
Oh,
Okay.
man. That's a good question. And I think we have to be better. Our doctors, frankly, have to be better at the point of diagnosis. If we get to it and we're sitting across the table and I say, you have a diagnosis of dementia or Alzheimer's, there's not a magic pill. There are medications that will help to lessen the symptoms. So just like if you take cough medicine for a cough, it'll help your throat feel better, but it's not going to cure the cold.
Gotcha.
These medications will help you to feel a little bit better, to maybe think a little bit sharper, but they're not going to slow the progression or stop the progression of the disease.
So there's no fish in the ocean that you chop it up and eat it, and
No. And if someone tells you that, you call us.
Jellyfish, I remember seeing that something about they had some jellyfish compounds on TV. I don't know if I see it anymore. But you know the commercial I'm talking about.
Oh, I do.
And you think, okay.
Specifically, if you want to look at the one, we won't name it, it's a very small study, their control with the medication, and the compound that they put in, the special ingredient, whatever you want to call it, is artificially made. Naturally, it's found in jellyfish. They artificially manufacture it. And each dosage is proven to have been digested by the time that you actually get it, so none of it really hits your bloodstream.
Oh, wow. Zoom right through your system.
Yeah, I would tell people, if you hear of this magic pill, if you hear of something that will make you think sharper, or red flags are improve cognition, cure, lessen symptoms, anything like that, if it works, great, but I would be throwing it out the windows of my car at everyone I know. So you really want to make sure that we're being savvy consumers and that we're looking at different things to make sure that we're not spending $70 on a bottle of pills that aren't going to do anything for us.
It's pretty expensive stuff too, right?
It's very expensive, yeah.
Okay. I had a thought. All right. So the doctors would then give you something, like you said, to take care of the symptoms, but not the actual, do we call this a disease?
Yep, this is a disease. I think a lot of people get Alzheimer's confused more in the mental health category, but it's very literally a progressive disease that affects the brain, and it is fatal. What it does is affects the brain cells, and the brain cells begin to die off. So I think when we look at that, we think, oh, okay, well, it's in the brain, so it's mental health. Does it have mental health effects? Yes, absolutely. But the actual underlying cause is very, very medical, physically.
All right, so the obvious question that people will always ask, can I catch Alzheimer's? You know, I don't think so. I think it's in your DNA or whatever, right?
It's actually kind of funny you say that, because sometimes, one of the things that we like to do is increase the awareness, and
Right.
by doing that, we'll do something like a tabling event, or and you'll see people like want to step away, and it's not contagious. You're
Right.
not going to get it from coming up to us, but certainly there are some folks who are at higher prevalence for getting it, and as well as those who may have it in their family.
Right.
So it certainly. Things like that will impact the risk of getting it, but it's not a guarantee.
So drinking out of the same cup and
Not
kissing.
gonna get it, no.
And years ago, I was a special ed teacher by trade, and people used to worry that you would get some of those
Right.
conditions by contact. It's just not true. You mentioned this is where I was going with it. Plaque. People think of plaque on your teeth. You should floss and all that. But it's sort of the same idea, right? It's a coating of some sort that gets on the neurons.
Exactly. That's essentially exactly what it is. It's called an amyloid plaque, and what it does is it builds up. So the way that I think of our brain is this big tree, because it's all those synapses, and it's sending electricity everywhere. This plaque builds up, and just like anything else, if there's buildup on it, it's not going to work as well. So when we see this buildup of the plaque and the tangles begin to show up, it makes sense that our synapses wouldn't fire as well as they do.
So it's really looking at, like, if you open up the back of a TV and it's been sitting outside and there's rust and cobwebs and junk, and what plaque sort of is plugging up the system, right?
Exactly, yep.
Wow. Not a real cheery thought when you think
No.
about it. It's not
It's
much you
not.
can do about it, but you can work with symptoms and make people's lives better for that. And I don't want to, belabor this point, but each one of these categories you mentioned probably has a certain span of duration that a person's going to deal with it. I don't know if it's 10 years, 20 years, 5 years, 4 years, whatever, but each one's a little different. So, depending on the diagnosis and so forth.
Yeah, and every person is different. Your
Yeah.
brain, Doc, totally different than my brain. So it's going to affect us differently.
You're lucky.
I was going to say you're lucky. But we all are so different that, if you know one person with dementia or Alzheimer's, you only know that person with dementia or Alzheimer's. And there's a lot of factors that go into a prognosis then of stages and how long we can live with this disease. Some people, from date of diagnosis, it can be 20 years. Some people, it can be a year. It depends.
on when it was discovered, right? If the person been suffering with it for years, didn't get diagnosed,
Right,
those years
exactly.
are all behind you.
And one thing that I love that Claire, says is certainly there's the push for early detection. We want folks to get the diagnosis, and the way the disease, the diagnosis, that'll help with that care plan, the right care plan, and that's really what it's all about. So getting diagnosed early. Of course, there's a whole, there's a lot to that. There's a lot of barriers. There's a lot of fear. There's stigma. There's all sorts of
Yeah,
things.
I was just thinking, I would bet the first thing people say, I'm not going to test it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because then I'll know. And if I know, then I'm in
That's-
trouble.
If you
Right.
know, you can prepare.
Right. Prepare, you can do better. And the old saying goes, every year there's new things being discovered, which is almost a cliche, but it's true. When I look at lots of cancer therapies that they're developing every year, people get cured,
Absolutely.
things like that. You brought some statistics,
Oh, yeah,
and
sure.
I thought maybe you would share some with me in my audiences. So start anywhere you like.
Well, I wanted to shrink it down a little bit. Since we're from the Western New York chapter, doesn't it make sense to talk about New York?
Absolutely.
Because Alzheimer's, when we say, there are 6 million people, closer to 7 million at this point in the United States alone diagnosed, you
Wait,
say that's
what?
a lot.
6 million.
6 million. It's closer to 7 at this point, but I haven't run the numbers in a while.
All right, 7 million people have dementia or Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's specifically. And those are the
Holy
people that are
cow.
diagnosed. That doesn't mean, that's not the people who are living alone, who haven't caught it, who refuse to go to the doctor. There's all kinds of things. So that number is probably higher. But when we shrink it down and look at New York as a whole, we're in between, we're right at about, we're over 400,000.
400,000 people with Alzheimer's in New York State.
In New York State. By 2025, it'll be 460,000 people.
That's like all of Erie County,
It's a lot of people.
right?
And then you think about it, for one person living with Alzheimer's, how many caregivers do you have for that person? So the number of people that's affected by this just grows exponentially as the disease grows, which is tough. And that number is going to continue to grow. So we need to be able to sit at this table and talk about it. We need to say, you know, if I do have this higher risk of developing the disease, what kind of care do I want? How do I want my, you know, my care to be done at the end of my life? How do I want to really have a meaningful life if I am diagnosed with this? Because Alzheimer's is it's not the end of things. It's just something that gets in your way of living your life. But the people who are diagnosed, we can still talk to, we can still include in things. It's not something that you can say, okay, I don't need you around anymore. So I think when we think of Alzheimer's, we think of the very late stages, and we miss all of the things that we can do in the early and the middle stages. And that's, I think, the most important part of seeing this number shrunk down to a more realistic scale is there's all these people that are still living their life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, really important to keep that in mind when we talk about it.
So when you're diagnosed, you're not going to die tomorrow.
No, exactly. And you can.
But it's true of heart conditions, cancer, any kind of blood disorder, just about anything. Once you're diagnosed, take a deep breath. Okay,
Yep.
now how are we going to handle this? But a lot of people panic, you know.
Oh yeah, and I think it's been stigmatized very much in the media, and just how we've understood it classically. But now that we know more about it, we know that people living with Alzheimer's in the early stages, you could meet someone on the street and never know. So it's really, really important for us as dementia friends or as just a caring community to be compassionate when we talk to folks.
All right, now you have here people age 65 and older. There's over 400,000 people in New York State, right? So it's primarily for older people. And we did say it can be for younger people, primarily over 65.
Right.
Which kind of stinks because you just get to retirement age and you got to deal with this thing, right? Okay. All right. Let's talk about caregivers a little bit. They're beat up. You know, I've known caregivers, at least a couple or more, and they're wiped out. They're tired.
That's definitely something that we really want people to know, is that we're here for the caregivers too, right? Without the caregivers' health and well-being, really the ship can sink. And so they, you know, and I think Claire had touched on it, the number of people who, you know, I think it's about 2 to 3 people are caregivers to one person who may be diagnosed, and that's people who consider themselves caregivers. A lot of folks don't, you know, tag themselves as a caregiver, but are giving care. And so statistics, you know, we're talking to the statistics. In 2020, there was over 560,000 caregivers. And again, that's just the people who identified, but it's as you know, we talked about mental health, certainly depression, just taking care of themselves. And that's something that, you know, we're so glad that we're able to offer is, you know, our free programs and services, education, caregiver support groups for those who are, you know, respite programs, social respite, all sorts of things that are out there and available, and it's just a matter of getting connected.
All right, so I'm sitting here doing some math, all right? This is kind of staggering how I look at it in a different way. You said there's 400,000 people plus in New York State that are dealing with Alzheimer's. 563,000 people in their life circle. That's 1 million people.
Yeah. It's a lot of folks.
That's 1 million New Yorkers that are dealing with Alzheimer's, whether you have it or you're dealing with it. That's huge. Tell me about support groups. What would someone get out of it?
Support groups are wonderful. I started my career training support group facilitators for the Alzheimer's Association and running groups. And they are invaluable because we can come to the table, and as caregivers, there is no judgment, because it can be frustrating. It can be tiring. You can feel all types of complex emotions and guilt. And every single person around you either needs to hear what you're saying to validate their own feelings, or has been there and can help you get through it. So as a caregiver, you know, I always talk to people and they're like, I don't need a support group, because they think it's, you know, all sit in a circle. Hi, I'm Claire. You know, I am a caregiver. Yes and no. You're going to say your name. You're going to talk about what you're going through, but you're going to find yourself giving tips to certain people. You know, this worked for me, try it, and get tips from other people and be validated in your experiences and understand that you're not alone. Because caregiving, in its nature, for someone with Alzheimer's can be very isolating, because that person needs a lot of help through no fault of their own. But as caregivers, we feel a lot of guilt leaving. We want to make sure that this person is cared for 24/7, and that can be a lot. So the caregiving support groups are really helpful just to get that weight off of our shoulders when we need to talk it through with people who won't judge, who very much understand.
Years ago, I was part of a family support group for an individual in our family that needed some help. And, you know, I'm educated, I'm cool, I get all this stuff. So I begrudgingly put on my big boy pants and went to the meetings. People cry, they hug, they share tips, they get mad. They give each other leads to doctors or agencies and things like that. It's invaluable. So how do people that are watching right now, listening, where are these groups and how do they get connected?
So there are a number of groups in Western New York. There's some offered via Zoom. You know, you can get connected easily. Majority of our programs, well, they really started a lot were geographically based. So we would have in-person caregiver support groups, you know, in various regions throughout Western New York, and we still do. Due to the pandemic, we did shift a number virtually, and since then have now just trying to meet the community where they're at. So not everyone has an opportunity to leave and go to a physical group. So some people do take us up on our Zooms.
Okay, here in Chautauqua County, what do we have going on?
We have a good one in Chautauqua County.
All right, tell me about the good one.
We have a very unique one. It's called Chautauqua Dine and Dish.
What?
And
Dine and dish?
Dine and dish. So
Oh,
you
die and dish.
dine.
Oh,
dine.
dine.
Oh, you don't die and dish.
No,
That would
no,
be a tough group. Not great retention there. But we go around to different diners in the area. So it can be Dunkirk, Jamestown, Westfield. Westfield has a great diner. And the caregivers all meet. They have a facilitator who is an expert caregiver support specialist from the Office for the Aging. And she will help walk people through
Chris?
things. Jen Ellman.
Oh, okay, I don't know.
Yes. Chris is great too.
Okay.
But they are able to kind of help you get over that initial that hesitation of joining a group. Everyone's happier with a cup of coffee in their hands. I am, at least. So it's a great way to open up, to get out of the house, to try something new.
To get out of the house.
Yes.
Is huge, because a lot of caregivers can't do that. They can't walk out the door. They can't lead the person. They can't. They're worried that something's going to happen. True or false? True,
Absolutely
right?
true. Absolutely. And that's a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
So for these people to be able to leave, to have this scheduled hour, it makes it easy. I can say, hey.
They can breathe.
They can breathe.
Yeah.
It's easy enough to schedule someone to come in if they have a good trusted friend, family member, an in-home care person, or there's respite in the community. There's a free respite service at the Westfield United Methodist Church for folks who are living with Alzheimer's and dementia. It's a social model, so nothing medical. It's run by really excellent volunteers from the community, and so people are able to, if they have to go grocery shopping or get their hair done, or God forbid, if they just want to read a book and relax, their loved one can go to this social respite program, and they can take 4 hours and have it to themselves.
Okay. Now, so again, people listening, watching right now, how do they find out about this group?
Oh boy, I would love if they called us.
What's the number?
Our local office number is 716
Yep.
626
626
0600.
0600 716 626 0600.
Yes.
Okay.
They can call our 24/7 helpline. That's 800-272-3900, and that is truly 24/7. 3 a.m. Calls, registrations, anything that's needed, questions. The 1-800 number is always
Somebody's
available.
there?
Yes.
Always.
Not necessarily from our chapter.
But somebody,
There is a call center.
It's a hotline.
Yep.
okay. Now, The next tough topic I want to address, you have caregivers and there's somebody living in their home that has dementia, Alzheimer's, and that's the group that needs some respite, that's the group that needs help. Sometimes folks with dementia, Alzheimer's, it's getting ratcheted up. They can't stay at home. It's like they're wandering, they're going into stage 4, and it's really a very difficult situation. What do you do for those situations?
We will try to talk them through it as best we can and kind of help make a plan, figure out what's best for that person. That's a lot of what I do. I'm a care consultant at the chapter, so it's our job to help find out what might be a best fit. Is it long-term care placement? Is it bringing in home care? Is that person eligible to receive hospice or palliative care? A lot of people don't realize that hospice and palliative can come in and provide that care for people as a service.
People think
when
that
it's
that's just
appropriate.
cancer, right?
Exactly, but it's not.
It's not. It's a service.
And it's a huge help for folks, and they don't know. So to be able to touch base with us, we can say, hey, there are these different options. What do you feel most comfortable with? So we help walk them through it, and then when it's time, we can help give community referrals. I'm not going to give you a plan and then say, oh, best of luck finding them. So we can make sure you have a list of all the places in Chautauqua County or Erie County. We have an online service. It's called the Community Resource Finder, and I call it like a streamlined Google for caregivers. It's got all of our support groups, so you can register online, all of our education programs that you can register for online, but it also has neurologists, doctors, respite, long-term care facilities. It flags each of them by memory care. It helps to find assisted living, home care agencies, all of these different things. So you kind of make a plan, and then you're able to find all of the different resources and find what fits best for you. Because again, one person with dementia is one person with dementia. There's no cookie cutter fit for anybody.
That could be alz.org/CRF. One other thing I wanted to just mention, if I can, is you mentioned wandering.
Yeah.
And so we have, thankfully, thankfully for our funding, we have at partnerships medical alert and wandering support. Certainly something that we can offer for families, both for the person
those
living.
Buttons?
The bracelets, the medical alert bracelets, and available for the person living with as well as their caregiver. So that's something that we can offer, as well as driver evaluations. There's a lot of safety services that we can help supply to families, and so it's really, again, just a matter of getting connected, and there's so much here to unpack, and so we can definitely help out.
People are thinking, well, what's this going to cost?
Free. Everything we do in the community is free. That's one of the main things that we really have identified as a need is if there's a cost, that's an immediate barrier. Alzheimer's affects people who have tons of money and who have no money and who are stressed and who have all the time in the world.
Claire, I know you can do this. We have 1 minute left, and you're going to talk about September 24th.
Oof. September 24th is our Walk to End Alzheimer's. We have a great band playing, and we also have, it's at Point Gratiot Park, and it's a really excellent day where we all come together, caregivers, support staff, people who support families, and we recognize that we're not alone. And it helps to raise money for research, for a cure for Alzheimer's, to make sure that our community understands what Alzheimer's is, and for us to see the support that's out there. It's a very emotional day. Bring tissues, because if you're any type of compassionate, you will cry. And
if you hear me sing.
And if we're ready. No, but it's a great day, and you walk away feeling very fulfilled and understanding that you're not alone. The person living with the disease is walking right next to someone from the Alzheimer's Association who's walking next to a neighbor. Right. So we're all in it together. But
all right, we're going to get more on this as we get closer to the event. One more time, phone number for people to call here locally.
716-626-0600.
We'll run out of time.
Ooh, that's never.
My guest today from the Alzheimer's group has been Courtney Sipes and Claire Corwin. Ladies, thank you for coming in. Courage, keep doing the good work out there. Thanks.
Thank you.
People out there listening and watching, this has been valuable information. If you're watching it and think, oh, I didn't get that phone number, go to YouTube. It'll be on there in a few hours, and you can go back and review it. Share it with your friends. Share this show on Facebook, whatever. Please do something to help yourselves and the people that you love that are afflicted with this horrible disease. We're going to do this all next week. Take care and have a great weekend. Bye now.